How's everyone doing this evening?
Good, good. Just finished dinner.
Nice. Yeah,
Wonderful, Daryl. Thanks for the presentation.
would you ever
for the lack of friendly faces here, Daryl?
Hey, there's Devin and Annika. Just again, so everyone is aware, we are live streaming on YouTube currently as we speak. So if you would like to turn off your cameras, you are more than welcome to not show your face. But again, it is going on YouTube, so it will be preserved there. If you don't want to show your face, you are more than welcome to turn off your camera. Just wait a couple more minutes. It seems like people are still popping in, so we'll give maybe a couple of minutes for the late folks. Looks like we have 6 people watching on YouTube. Neat.
That's better. I should be able to hear you now. The kids in the street have decided to put something on their bicycles. It sounds like they're driving up and down the street with little jet engines on their bikes.
Doing the old playing card and the spokes or something.
It's a little, yeah, it's like that, but it's seems to be, I don't know whether they got more spokes on their bikes now than we used to, but it sounds like it's a higher pitch thing.
Maybe with the e-bikes, they're going faster.
No, they're pedaling, so I can't say.
Gotcha. How's my audio? I'm actually using a different microphone. Can everybody hear me okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, maybe we will we'll begin. We will start here. So I will start with introduction. My name is Daryl Downey. My ham radio call sign is Victor Alpha 7 Delta Delta Uniform. Today I'm going to be presenting Meshtastic. This is not a ham radio specific hobby, but it is very ham adjacent. So I felt, the Ham Radio Club would be a great place to present this. Thank you all very much for coming, and thanks for being here. So if there is going to be some things to write down. So if you are interested, so make sure you have a pen and paper ready, or like I said, this is live streaming on YouTube, so you can always go back and reference it after. There is some like website addresses, that sort of thing that you can write down that might be helpful. Save all your questions for the end. There is a Q&A section at the very end. I dabble on a few things in the beginning of the presentation and then kind of get into them a little bit deeper at the end. All right, so I guess without further ado, we will get started. So let me get this presentation going. So what we're going to cover, obviously, what is Meshtastic? Hey, maybe I'll make sure everybody can see my presentation here. Is everybody good with that? You can see it all? Okay. So yeah, what is Meshtastic? Obviously, we're going to go over what it is, supported devices, good device options for beginners, whether it be a DIY thing that you want to build out or whether you want to buy an off-the-shelf device. We're going to talk a little bit about how the mesh networking works. We will talk about the firmware on the devices and the device setup a little bit. We'll have a look at some builds, some different types of builds, whether it be, like you see there, solar battery wired, whether, you have sensors on it, that sort of thing. And we can talk about some ham radio integration a little bit. We'll get into the Q&A. And we'll start off. What is Meshtastic? So this is a bit to take in. It's open source, a low power mesh, and it uses LoRa. So LoRa is a protocol that is, people have been using it for a while. I think it originally came out originally for like farmers using sensors for crop conditions or something like that. But what we are using it for is for text messaging, for sharing GPS data, so we can, location data, that sort of thing, sensor data from weather, telemetry, all that kind of thing. This works without cell phone, internet. This is all device to device communication. So this is kind of like I said, it's ham radio adjacent, great for off-grid use. If you're doing like some sort of event or something and you want some kind of communication at the event where you're, have your kind of local communication area, or like we are trying to set up, kind of like an island-wide mesh as well. So these things can all work together basically at the same time. So this kind of shows a little bit, this diagram at the bottom here. Oh, you guys can't see my mouse. Okay, cool. So yeah, the device themselves, obviously these ones in the photographs don't have keyboards. You actually would use Bluetooth to connect to it with your phone, and you use an app on your phone, much like text messaging, to then send the message, and then that message would be relayed through the mesh to its recipient. So kind of brief looking at how a mesh network works. And again, this is a very basic introduction to Meshtastic. So this is for people that don't have any kind of, indication of what this whole thing is. And this diagram at the bottom looks a little bit messy, but we'll kind of do a quick go through of it. So like I said, each node relays the message. It is no central infrastructure. It doesn't rely on cell phone towers or a repeater, anything like that. It automatically discovers other devices in the area, so they're kind of self-aware, let's call it. As the messages are delivered using multi-hop, so like I said, one device sends a message through the other devices to get to its recipient. We call those hops. So you'll see later on in the app, it'll actually show you how many hops it took to get to its destination. Some popular devices. So basically, we got quite a bit on the screen here. We'll start at the top. So these three devices are kind of the what I would call the go-to devices. Maybe they shouldn't be, but maybe they should be. I don't know. It's up to the user. There's so many different varieties of use cases. It's hard to pin something out. I have multiple of these devices, and I'm sure that you will too. So just sit tight. The T-Beam Supreme, we'll start with that one. The T-Beam Supreme is kind of like just exactly that. It's kind of supreme. It's got a whole bunch of weather telemetry sensors on it. It's got, the ambient air temperature sensor, the pressure sensor. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got GPS. It's got micro SD card. I don't know what the micro SD card's actually for. Oh, it's for flashing it if you're going to do it that way. It's got, all the fixings. You can just slap an 18650 battery into it and an antenna on it, use it as is, build a 3D case for it, whatever. There's lots of 3D cases available for this thing on Etsy that you can buy pre-made if you don't have a 3D printer. Great device. Great device. They work well, and they have a little screen so you can see the UI. We'll play with one a little bit later in the presentation. The T-Deck. This is the BlackBerry looking one. Pretty fun little device. There is some limits to it, but there is also some kind of benefits to having it as well. It has different there's different options for these ones, different antenna selection. You can get ones with external antennas that presumably would work better. There's the internal antenna one here pictured. When you are messaging people, obviously you can use the keyboard directly on the device. This one, to actually access a keyboard, you'd have to connect to it with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and use one of the apps to then send the message through the device. You can do that same thing with the TDEC as well. You can connect it to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to your smartphone or your computer and message through the device still without using the keyboard, or you can carry it around and use it like a BlackBerry. This guy here, this is the cheapest entry point, the rack, the Whiz Block. These ones, they come as cheap as $25 that, US, that has just what you see here, this little board. It's got an input for a battery and a solar panel. It has an output. There's the little IPEX to coax connector with a little tiny SMA antenna on it. And it's got, the cheapest entry point. You obviously, if you're setting that up, outside, you'd probably want to put it in some sort of enclosure again, a 3D printed something. I have it on good authority that these LilyGo watches are not good, but I don't have personal experience with that, so don't shoot the messenger. But if you feel like trying one out, I would happily listen to your feedback. We have also the LilyGo T Echo, and I think a new one of these just came out. There's a new one with a little bit better screen and also a bit better antenna. And this one, actually, the SenseCap, I think it's called the T1000E, is a very great product. It's sub $100. Everything is built into this. It is literally the size of a credit card. You could slide it into your wallet. You connect to it with Bluetooth, internal antenna, internal battery. It has a device that kind of slaps onto it's a magnetic charger that with terminals on the back. It's called the SenseCap T1000E, I believe. These guys are another rack product, the Whiz Block. What are these called? I can't remember. It's on the rack website. Also, rack, this website, they have a very good website that you can actually build nodes with sensors and things like that. You can custom build and then order a node as well. So they're pretty, and their stuff is very, very high quality stuff. It's good stuff. This guy here, the last one. Hey, Jono. This last guy here, solar, I think it's called the Solar Repeater from Rack. It is a pretty skookum little guy. I have one of these at home. I have it on good authority. I've been told that the solar panel will not keep up during the winter, but we'll see. I might have to upgrade it. I use this as my home node, and then I use kind of a couple of these guys for, using around the house or when I go out as a mobile node, so to speak. So we will take a look at more devices coming up here. I mean, this whole thing is basically about devices. So taking a quick look at the Android app. We will, again, later on in the presentation, do an actual demo of the app here. So this is kind of what it looks like. The app has actually updated since this view of it as well. It has a bit more information on it. So this is kind of what it would look like if you are messaging into the what we would call general, the long fast message. It is basically the node kind of that the public forum kind of where every node or every message comes in that's public bound. You can also obviously direct message people. Your proximity to the mesh network is very dependent on how well that will work. But again, like you can see here, these different nodes, they're all talking into the long fast, which is the, like I said, the public kind of chat. This is the screen that would show the stations that are being heard. So like I showed in one of the first slides, there's automatic detection. It shows the different stations as they come up. It would also show the telemetry if there's telemetry available for those different stations. And this last side over here is the connection screen. So this would show you all your devices that are in view of the Bluetooth. That is how it is connected. The iPhone app is, I don't have the iPhone app, so I can't speak to this, but it's not as, there's a few bugs, I guess, a few things that you can do in the Android app that you can't do in the iPhone app. So I would recommend using an Android tablet or something if that is the case. If you do use an iPhone, try it on the Android tablet, see if it, see how different it is. So firmware and configuration, you get your device, you open it up out of the box, you want to start, getting right into it. The first thing you want to do, plug it in, obviously, give it some power, make sure the antenna is connected because you don't want to start transmitting anything without an antenna connected. But then you initiate your connection to the app, and then it would automatically, once you start that connection, it kind of automatically recognizes that there's a new device there. You would it would start asking you for a bit of information. So I think the first piece of information, which isn't written down here, is it would ask you where you are, and you are setting up the, we are in the US category. There's no Canada, unfortunately, but all of North America uses 900 megahertz for this particular this particular use. So it's all standard to the US setting. Once you set the US setting, it'll ask you to set your short name and your long name. So I'm going to go back a slide here. So your short name is this guy right here that this guy's BS, and then your long name is Bob some name. There you go. So that's your short name and your long name. And your long name can be pretty long. I've seen some pretty long ones. If it's longer than that, it just kind of rotates through as kind of like a ticker display. So then the next thing you want to ensure, and we're going to touch on this in the next slide here, but you set the role. This is very important. You always set your role to client and or client mute. Those two are the most important. And again, we'll talk about that in the next slide. Then you would look and see your primary and secondary channels. Those channels, like I said, I'm going to go back one slide, are your primary channel is your long fast. That's usually how it comes factory out of the box. And you can obviously change it around to configure, but the primary channel, and then you can set secondary channels if you want to have a private channel with, say, a group of friends in the area, or say if you are doing an event and you want to have a private channel, you can set that as a secondary channel. So that's a little bit more technical, setting up those channels. So I'm not going to get into that totally here. We will, once we do a live demo, I will show you kind of that screen and see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. So last thing on this slide, update regularly. It's really important that we keep our devices updated. I know they being Meshtastic organization, the firmware developers, sometimes if they change the routing path or the way the devices handle the routing, it's important that all the devices are on the same page. So it's important to keep them updated. It is pretty much essential. If you're going to get one and not update it, you got to update it fairly regularly. And by regularly, I mean if you did it a couple of times a year, that's good. But at least once a year kind of thing. If you have it up on a tower or something like that, you're going to want to have it accessible. Firmware updates you can do over Bluetooth with some devices, so we'll get into that. So next slide, we are talking always client, and this is why. So client mode keeps the network lean, efficient, especially in dense areas. Also, so these are some pros and cons, obviously, to the different modes and what is going on. So client mode, you're basically sending and receiving all the packets that it is hearing. It's forwarding messages. It's not so much taking part in the routing like a router or one of the other types of devices. Client mute is a good one for what I would for what I would like it says here, passive displays. If you have a weather sensor station set up, a solar node. So if you have a home node, up on your roof that is doing the heavy lifting, and then you have a personal device. If you have a personal device in your house, you would set that device maybe to client mute, because inside your house, you're not going to be forwarding any messages out anyway. You're not going to be receiving anything that one up on your roof isn't. So leave the the upper one in maybe client mode, and then the end one you would want in client mute, something that's passive or solar only nodes. You could have that one up there in client mute as well. It would be just fine. Saves max battery. It's if your node isn't up on a mountain, it should not be in router mode. That's kind of the deal to live by. If it's not doing some heavy lifting, there's a couple of routers in the area. There's one on Mount Bruce on Salt Spring Island. Here in Nanaimo, I have full shot into that one, and as soon as I have a good signal into that one, you're in the mesh. You have good connection to everyone. So my node on top of my house sees Mount Bruce perfectly. In the house now with my device, I have perfect coverage anywhere in the house. So obviously in client mute, it's not forwarding a lot of messages. So your listen only, it's gonna have the best for battery life, that sort of thing. Let's go. So why this all matters. So in a mesh with too many routers, every message is rebroadcasted many times, creates collisions, delays. It sometimes will think that a message has been already repeated when it actually hasn't, or there's all sorts of kind of congestion that happens. So like it says at the bottom here, balance is key. Well-placed routers, like I was saying, the mountaintop routers. Once you have a site on one of those mountaintop routers, you don't need any other router. Basically, it's pretty much settled at that point. All right. So, and again, we will go over any questions or anything like that after we have a Q&A section at the end, as well as we will go through some devices and take a look at what the screens look like. So next, when you get your device, you plug it in, you want to set it up. This is what you would be looking at for updating the firmware. So flasher.meshtastic.org is the web flasher. There is ways to download the firmware, and you can actually upload it via SD card as well for offline nodes. Obviously, you don't have access to the internet, at the peak of Mount Bruce maybe, and you want to update your node, and you have to do it manually. You can bring the firmware to it. You can do it over Bluetooth, maybe from a laptop below, or maybe you have to do an SD card insertion. I don't know. It depends on the device as well. Some devices with the flasher tool, it'll run through a web install and install the firmware through that. Some of them, it will actually give you a file, and when you plug your device in, it'll show up like a USB drive, and you just drop the firmware straight into the file, and it automatically refreshes the device, and it's good to go on the new firmware. So that is the web flasher. So write that down, because you will need, like I said, you got to keep up to date on your firmware. This is what it looks like too. There's multiple varieties of firmware. As long as you're up on the newest stable software, you're totally fine. I currently have my T-Deck and my T-Beam on the 2.7 software. There's some new UI changes on the tiny little screen that I really like on the 2.7 software. So definitely, if you order a new device, get it up to date on that new 2.7 software. It's pretty nice, especially if you have a device with a screen. And the next web screen, this is the client.meshtastic.org. So this is where you can actually control your device. So if you go to this, we will go to this later and do a live demo of this, but this is just what it kind of looks like. Give a quick introduction to it. So as you can see over on the left here, you can have your nodes. These are all the local nodes that it's heard. It shows you how many hops away they are and how long ago each one. So you can see this is pretty active stuff. This is, most of these people are, well, some of these people are in the chat right now. Look at that. shows you the signal strength. So obviously, if it's a couple of hops away, it's probably showing you the signal strength of the node that you heard it from. Shows you the device that they're using too. So that's another cool feature of this, is that you can actually see what other stations are using, what the core processor is anyway. Like a RAC 4631 is probably the most popular device in those, or a Haltech V3. But the 4631, they're very power friendly, so they often get used for solar nodes and that sort of thing. So that's another website. Probably set that one of your favorites as well. With the Meshtastic website, you can also send the message through your device, obviously using it instead of using the Bluetooth on your app on your phone. Then you can click on the map, you can see all the nodes, you can configure your device. And again, this channels, that's where you would do your chatting with, or setting up your different channels, whether you want to do just the public chat or you have your private chats. And, you know, obviously it shows you which device you are plugged into. This was plugged into my T-Deck at the time. It shows you the voltage, all that good stuff. So these are some build examples. This is like a DIY whiz block. That's that little, you know, the one that had the SMA beside it. Just a tiny little guy, solar panel, Bluetooth. You know, they can be compacted into a tiny little box, right? There's if you join like the Reddit Meshtastic, you see people posting lots of devices that are Meshtastic nodes that maybe didn't intend to be Meshtastic nodes, and I find it very fun when people are making devices, you know, electric staplers or whatever, turning them into a Meshtastic node and, you know, hiding it in plain sight, right? It's kind of the fun of it. Another thing too, these Haltech, you could, this is on, I've seen these for sale, but you could build one just as easy on AliExpress or Amazon. This is a trail cam charger. Somebody has taken two batteries, probably two 18650 battery cells out, and literally put in a Haltech and added the antenna. It's already got a charge controller, solar panel, battery cells, and you hook it up and you're basically off to the races. Now, if you want to spend a little bit more money, you can always, like I said, you can do this DIY, build it yourself from rack. So if you go to their website, they have a Meshtastic builder that you can build things with all sorts of different sensors, weather sensors, telemetry sensors. I think you could have them checking on voltage of, you know, local repeaters or something like that. Like all sorts of telemetry can be obviously plumbed back into the mesh network. And this company specializes in IoT devices. They do all sorts of like LoRaWAN, like the wireless network stuff, and yeah, it's you can get lost on their website. They have some pretty cool stuff. They have entire pages of sensors. Like they literally have a Meshtastic sensor that you can stick in a plant to have it, I guess, show you when your plant needs water. You can, there's all the numbers of things, and they're reasonably, you know, reasonably priced. Like I said, that rack starter kit, you know, they're like $30 or something to start off with. So it is affordable to get into building a, you know, a small node setup. Okay. We'll go next tab. I keep clicking on stuff here. Oh, great. So talking a little bit about the propagation of LoRa and how Meshtastic is working. So LoRa uses 915 megahertz. Like I said, in that US kind of the North American category, that's what we are allotted. So it is low range or long range, low power. So if you're familiar with Arden, similar type of thing. Instead of using the gigahertz, we are using the megahertz. It's smaller, smaller bandwidths. You know, just text basically. And like I said, line of sight is crucial basically in these situations. But when you get a couple of nodes up high, it's really quite easy to get line of sight to a local node. Like I said, I'm right down by the ocean in Nanaimo, and my node can see Mount Bruce, no problem. I have good connection. It says the reception is good all the time. So there's not voice at this time. I know they're working on something. you know, some of the devices they were talking about. I think how it works, I'm not an expert on this, but it's something to do with like voice kind of, you know, more so recording a voice message and then sending it over, and then it could be replayed or something. I think, I'm not 100% certain on that. I know some of the new LilyGo devices, the new T-Deck Pro, they're use 2.4 gigahertz instead of 915 megahertz. So I'm not sure kind of how that is, but I'm not going to get too far into that. So basically, the mesh network extends the effective range. So the more people are in the mesh, you know, spread out, you can get a better range, obviously. So that's why we are here. That's why I'm talking to everybody. I want to increase the range that we are getting in Nanaimo, in the Vancouver Island area. I've driven up and down the island. You know, I've seen there's a few nodes in Port Alberni, a couple of nodes in Parksville that pop up. I spent some time in Victoria, tons of nodes. It's pretty active. Duncan, there is, you know, quite a few nodes in Duncan as well. And, you know, I think if we get a few strategically placed routers up on some hills, we can absolutely extend mesh coverage, you know, pretty easily. And like I said, these devices are fairly, you know, small, compact, can be added to existing infrastructure without impact. And I think it's pretty exciting. Oh yeah, current direct ground record, 331 kilometers from Italy to Croatia. You can look that up. It's on. They have it all over the Meshtastic website. They're really excited about it. But yeah, it is possible. You can use directional antennas, that sort of thing. We will talk about that. So some of the advanced features of Meshtastic. So again, we're not going to get super deep into any of these, but we will, again, just be talking basics. But MQTT cloud bridges, so you can bridge mesh networks over the internet. So say you have a good mesh network in Nanaimo and a good mesh network in Victoria, and you could have, you know, a server set up to bridge those two together if you can't get a direct RF connection, you know, or yeah, it's basically, you know, if you need to get somewhere where the internet is going to be your bridge. LoRa Pi adapters. This is, I haven't played around with anything like this at this point, but you can get Meshtastic devices that would go on your Raspberry Pi or any of your Arduino kind of stuff, and obviously that, you know, enables you to integrate Meshtastic. And I don't, my brain isn't even able to comprehend what you could possibly do with that. So, you know, I know there is like AI integration with these Raspberry Pis now, so you can basically probably make it do anything you want. Sensors, like I was saying, with the weather sensors, you could set it to, you know, have a door trigger sensor, that kind of thing. Long range antennas using different Yagi antennas. Remote administration too. So that's kind of like a phase 2 of your learning experience. Basically, once you have your node set up, you can actually set it up to remotely. So if it's, you know, not quite accessible, you can't quite connect to it with Bluetooth, but obviously the LoRa would still connect to it. You can connect to it with another device and actually configure different settings or reboot the device and that sort of thing from, you can't physically click the button, obviously, but you can give it a software reboot or that sort of thing remotely, which is pretty handy, especially if you have a mountaintop node. So touching on the ham radio part. So again, this is not ham radio. So please, don't be offended if you are in the group chat and you see things that, you know, are not ham radio friendly. You see people getting political. You see these things. It's a little CB radio, let me tell you. But that's, you know, the power of it. Anybody's able to get these devices, and you're still able to bridge your device to, you know, your own private network, your own messaging group, so you can, you know, kind of control your experience that way, let's call it. So the ham radio synergy, it's obviously like APRS, silent messaging with location. It's very similar to that, much lower power. Like these are 250 milliwatts or 125 milliwatts, like nothing, very little, very little. Mesh for off-grid event coordination. So that was, like I said before, if you have an event or something, this would be a great way to have, a text communication throughout, a big distance event, or, like a ham happenings or any of those types of things. I know they take the mesh pretty seriously. And then again, like tracking devices, you can use these to track location, that sort of thing. You could set how often the beaconing happens, just like APRS, beaconing of telemetry, but it's really easier than APRS. You don't have to sign up for an account, get some password. You don't have to and it works a little bit more locally than APRS. Obviously APRS really relies on being heard by an APRS bridge of some type, whether it be an iGate or whatever. So this, beacons through other devices, mesh network, right? So there is ways, I am not versed, but MQTT to APRS IS bridge, that is possible. You can do that, but you can't just bridge encrypted data, because a lot of this Meshtastic stuff is encrypted. That's the important part of the Meshtastic experience, is being able to have your messages encrypted to other folks, have your privacy. Yeah, I see a comment there. Yeah, you can also connect into Arden. Yeah, absolutely. I'm only giving some ideas here, and again, I am not qualified to be a Meshtastic guru by any means. This is me simply sharing what I have learned so far and my understanding of it too. I am not an expert by any means, but one thing that is often communicated in YouTube videos and things like that is power increase with your ham radio license, and it is possible, but there's a lot more to it. You only do that on amateur frequencies, because with the amateur, with the 900 megahertz, it's there's power limits within that band, so we want to make sure we are staying within those power limits. And then if we are operating I see somebody here. Yeah, absolutely. Ham is secondary use, absolutely, yeah. But there is power limits, and again, this is more advanced stuff than I'm going to get into today. And make sure that you are abiding by the very, very clear, it's not clear, rules about this, all these different devices, and the technology is absolutely moving faster than any of the regulation, let's say. So again, that brings us right into the legal considerations. So LoRa, like I said, it operates on an ISM band, 900 megahertz, license free. It is not a ham radio device. Again, like I've said a couple of times, it is absolutely not a ham radio device. It is more like a CB. It is very ham radio adjacent. Obviously, we want to build antennas. We want to have fun. Have nets. Have that ham radio type of camaraderie for sure. But like I said, be aware that it is the Wild West. There are some names of nodes that are, let's call them comical, and that type of thing. Again, don't bridge encrypted messages into amateur radio frequencies. That's an important one. So if you are bridging MQTT to APRS.FI, make sure you're not bringing over encrypted stuff into the amateur service. Respect RF power and antenna rules. Yep, those are general things that I'm going to suggest. The future of Meshtastic. So this is why I brought you here. Island-wide coverage. Emergency preparedness. So if we have devices set up that are completely non-reliant on other infrastructure, they're already deployed. We can utilize things. I mean, I don't know how much help they're going to be for actually facilitating rescue of any type like that. I'm not going to make any claims, but as far as being able to communicate out a little bit, sure, why not? Outdoor adventures. You got a group of people going out hunting. You want to silently communicate. Sure, why not? Live tracking, events, biking, that type of thing. Sure, why not? Remote IoT. Like I said, I think this whole thing kind of came about through farm, monitoring crop conditions, that sort of thing, weather sensors, other types of sensors, door sensors, that type of thing. Wildlife, if you have, infrared sensors with, to trigger if there's deer in your garden. I don't know. Your brain is the limit here. So obviously, with this type of product, with this type of technology, absolutely teaches networking. It can get kids on board with RF, how it works, open source hardware, like it's all great stuff. And I think that we need to be, getting our youth involved in all this stuff as much as we can. I know that I try to get my kids involved as much as they will allow me to. Which brings me into our group buy or build. So we're going to do this in Nanaimo here. So if you are watching this on YouTube, unfortunately, unless you're going to be attending in Nanaimo here, you might be left out. So we're going to build an outdoor node, and we're going to build it so that it can be in a fixed location, either solar or USB powered. We haven't quite decided which route we're going to take yet. Waterproof enclosure mounted somewhere with good RF visibility. Like I said, height is might. The goal, obviously, to extend your home coverage so that if you have a personal device that's with you at home, if you have just one device at home in your house, it's not going to work. You're not going to get out anywhere. If you put it outside, you might get a node or two. If you put it up on your roof, that's when you'll be in the mesh, so to speak. So we want to have these nodes be able to run 24/7 with minimal maintenance. We are going to have to update them frequently or semi-regularly, let's call it. I shouldn't say frequently. This is my home node as it sits right now. Yes, I painted my house black. I would not advise it to anybody. Please don't paint your house black. This is the rack solar node that I showed in one of the first slides. It is not dipped. I've had it up there for 3 weeks now, 2 weeks. Well, in this location, I've had it up there for about a week. But a very similar location, not quite over my roof line, was up there for about a week, and 10 feet or so, it makes a huge difference. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. So the group buy, this is what we are looking at. And once we have our actual devices planned, we'll build a sheet. So we're going to make that available so that if somebody wants to follow along and build it, and they're not in the Nanaimo area, not going to be available to come out to actually build it, then you can also build it at home, order the parts yourself, and get yourself going. The target price is going to be sub $100 for this home node. We'll see what we can do. It's going to have some sort of battery. I don't know if it's going to be an 18650 or some sort of pouch cells, depending on what we can get and how many people are interested, what kind of buying power we have. So if you'd like to take part in the group build and you are available in the Nanaimo area, we don't have a date. We don't have a firm device yet that we are going to build, because this is all going to be dependent on how many people get in touch with us. So here's the email address. Shoot us an email if you want to get in on the group build, and we will absolutely provide information as it comes out. So once we know how many people, we will build the build sheet. We'll take some kind of feedback as to what people want, if we want to do a solar or if we want to do USB, or maybe some people are going to do solar, some are going to do USB, or whatever ends up being the consensus. And then, like I said, once we have that build sheet together, we will make that available. So if there's another club that wants to take part, we can absolutely keep them in the communication as well, so they can do it with their members. Or, if you want to follow along at home, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So the deadline, we want to move fast on this project. We're getting things rolling pretty quickly. As far as, getting this mesh network up, we want to move quickly. So we're thinking deadline of July 25th. For just showing interest. So show your interest. We're going to probably put out a poll, just seeing what kind of devices people are thinking. And we will then move into the next phase of announcing kind of which devices we're going to start buying, how much, where to pay, then we'll announce once we have everything, because we'll have to know how long it's going to take everything, back order, that sort of stuff. We will then provide a build date where everyone will come together, and we will put these devices together and build the mesh. Don't let that stop you from ordering devices before that, though. Like, this is something you can, like I said, you can spend less than $100 getting a device, and you can have it in your car and start picking up nodes as you're driving around, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. My home node, I wanted to use this as an example. So this has a 15-foot fiberglass mast, and it's set up about 5 feet. So, maybe 20 feet, 22 feet up. And it was basically on like parallel with the roof of my house. I got into Salt Spring, not great. I then bought this chimney strap for $40 off Amazon, used a $10 paint pole from Rona, got it up. I'm not good with heights. Oh, scary stuff. But anyways, got it up. No problem. Everybody lived. Got it up to the top here. And, we're probably at 30, just over 30 feet, maybe 35 feet. And immediately I could tell it was a better reception. So here's kind of what it shows in the app. So this is the Mount Bruce. Before it was, signal bad, showing nothing. And then after I get the device up higher, it's always showing signal good. Sometimes, it'd flicker on signal good. Sometimes it'd flicker on no signal at all, depending on propagation. I don't know, depending on if somebody stands within the line of sight, I guess. But yeah, now good signal all the way over 52 kilometers from my house, I guess, as the crow flies. But yeah, great. Just 15 feet higher, just over the peak of my roof, makes all the difference. So depending on where you are, you may, like I said, I'm pretty close to the water level, but if you're up already, have a little bit of elevation, you may have better luck than I do. You may not have to put it up as high. You'll get the device. You'll figure it out pretty quickly if you're in or out of the mesh. You'll see some, like, you maybe, you hook it on your gutter, say there's gutter mounts. Maybe you see 1 or 2 stations coming in over the course of an hour. You're not in the mesh. You see one station like this, good signal, you'll all of a sudden, it'll be like bing, bang, boom. You'll have 20, 30, 80 stations that you'll see listed on the app. So height is might. So if you're thinking that you're not getting out for whatever reason, your antenna, your whatever, height is might. Get it up, get it higher. So this is kind of coming up to the end of the presentation portion. We're going to get into some other stuff, actually looking at some devices, and I will take some questions and that sort of thing. So there is a Discord server. I will actually, or if somebody else, one of the guys could put a link to the Discord server for Meshtastic in there, that would be great. There's a good resource there if you're on Discord. Discord is a very busy place. If you've never been in there before, don't get discouraged. There's a lot of great information. It takes a kind of bit of getting used to, but join the Meshtastic Discord. Meshtastic Vancouver Island Facebook page. We started a Facebook page. It's got a few build pictures, that sort of thing. And see YouTube. If you have a question that I can't answer, or you get a new device and you want to figure out how to configure it, there is a YouTube video about it, I promise. Oh yeah, thank you, Jonathan. That Meshtastic Discord invite is in the Google Meet there. So we will move on to questions, and we will then kind of do, or should I do a walkthrough of the app first? What do you want to do? Let's ask questions. Let's start with some questions, and we'll see. I got lots of time, so we can take some time and move through. Do I have any more slides here? I don't think I do. That's the last slide. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of my way just so I can see everybody. I can't really see everybody from where I am looking at the moment. I only have one monitor hooked up, which is, I can't handle it. I need more. Okay, so does anyone have any questions that I might be able to answer?
Do you get notifications of firmware updates? Is there a notice?
No. So I have made a habit of, like, I follow them on Instagram and Facebook, the Meshtastic organization. And sometimes if there's a big update or like they move an update into like an actual more of a finished firmware, sometimes they, if it fixes a big problem, they'll put up a post about it saying, hey, get your devices updated. This is the new firmware. This is what it's fixing, that kind of thing. But other than that, I don't see any place where, other than officially, but you can. Here, let me, I'll actually go to the Meshtastic updater right now. So this is a web.
I suspect he hit the wrong button. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Not that I've ever done that.
That's the rule is don't use the same window that you used Google Meet in previously here. So yeah, so let me just share. I was grabbing the wrong screen there. What a rookie maneuver. Again, this is my first time using the Meshtastic thing here. So yeah, still being streamed on YouTube, it looks like, so that's great. I am going to bring over the web flasher. Let's see here. There we go. So this is what the web flasher looks like. This is the live view here. So if you wanted to update your firmware or even just check if there's new firmware, you don't have to literally connect your device. You could just plug it in, or you don't have to plug it in. Sorry, you just literally select target device. So here's a big list of devices. You find your device. So sometimes it's not as easy as clicking on it. Like the rack repeater that I have is actually a WizBlock based repeater. So you would use this one to update that one or update the T-Beam. But we'll click on one, the T-Beam. It's a very popular device. Actually, let's go to the T-Beam Supreme because that is the newer version. I would absolutely suggest you get the T-Beam Supreme. Where is it? Oh, right there. And then you just click here and it'll show you which are the most, oh, look at that. That's a new one. I don't have that one yet. Shall we update my device while we're here? Okay, so we can actually, I guess we could update, let me grab a device. The T-Beam Supreme, here we are. We're gonna do a walkthrough. I wasn't planning on it, but we're gonna do it. And I have a aftermarket antenna and it's in a 3D printed case. There's a message on there. What does it say? Can't read that. Oh, it's trying to, oh, my background thing's trying to blur it out. Oh, it's asking me to set the LoRa region. Good, yeah. Probably pushed a button. So what we will do, I am going to, so the easiest way to do this from your computer is by connecting it with a USB cord. You can do it via Bluetooth if you are connected that way. So I'm going to grab the most unstable build. We'll grab the unstable, hold on one second. I just got to get a USB. Like I said, I was not prepared for this, but we got one, plugging it in. So here we go. Now, I already have my keys backed up. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to update your device, I would definitely suggest once you've actually opened your device, you've set it up with your Bluetooth app on your phone, there is in the configuration. Again, this is a more technical thing. I'm not going to get into every bit of it today because we could spend hours and hours and hours doing this. Maybe in another one down the road, we could get into specific things like that. But you want to back up your keys. Your keys are the most important part. That's like the hash that's used to communicate with the other devices. If you change your keys, then the devices that you've been communicating with will have trouble reconnecting to your device. They can and they will eventually reconnect. There is ways that you can reset your node database to eliminate the memories. And again, it automatically picks nodes up very fast. So if you do that, if you do have new keys by accident, tell your friends, hey, delete my old node, and your new node should pop up pretty quickly. Or just let it go naturally. It will figure itself out eventually, but can take a little bit more time. So T-Beam Supreme, we've selected the alpha, and I'm going to click flash, and then this window comes up here. Here's all the information about where the update's coming from, all that good stuff. Full change log if you care to go to it. We're going to click continue. So your device needs to be set into a specific mode. So mine's just on its regular home screen here and just connected via USB to my computer. This is the easiest way I've found to do it, but if you just hit this button and you grab the device, I know which one it is. You may have to do the old COM port if you're familiar with any sort of computer programming. I'm sure you're familiar with how to figure out which COM port you are selecting. So you would connect to it and hit that guy. Let's see, now it's changed again. So I'm going to make sure we connect. And then the screen on the TDEC may or may not change, but it'll tell you right away if you are connected or not when you actually hit the update button. Full erase and install every time. So you're going to fully erase the public and private keys. Like I said, I have my keys backed up already, so I have to do that for my phone because it's backed up on my phone, but we'll switch over to that in a minute. So full erase and install, that's the best way to do it always. Grab your device. Oh, not connected. So I don't think it's in the right mode. We'll try this again, see what happens. Otherwise, no. Yeah, so there is a manual way to do it. And I actually don't remember off the top of my head. You have to hold down certain keys to get it to turn off, and then you turn it on holding a certain key and then get it into this mode. And like I said, every single device is different. So when you get a device, you'll figure out your way to program it, and it might be different than the last device you programmed. Some of them, like I said, it pops up and it just gives you a file and you drag and drop it into a folder. So I am actually might be heard some beep in there. Let's try this. I don't think we're connected properly. Oh, we got it. Look at that. We're going. So despite what the screen shows, it might be in the proper mode, but it might not show anything different on the screen. Sometimes with the TDEC, I know the screen goes completely black and it looks like the device is off, but it's actually in the right mode. Some devices without screens, obviously, you just never know what you're looking at. So we are done. Now, the device hasn't even rebooted, so I will reboot it for it. And then right on the home screen, when the device starts up, it will unplug it here. We'll reboot. Maybe my buttons aren't lined up in my 3D printed case because it's not responding as it should. But anyways, again, this is all open source stuff. Not everything perfect happens every time. Sometimes you got to reboot it. Sometimes you got to reflash it. Sometimes, these types of, okay, yeah, it did. I can see now. Let's try to make this visible. So this is, if you can see that, it's asking me to set the region right off the bat. On this device has a screen, so you can set the region right off the bat, but I can see up in the corner there's a 2 there, so I know 2.7.2 has been loaded on here. I will set the region. This is all one button click too, which is kind of cool. So you can just I don't know if you can see that, but click and hold to get it to go. And then it's rebooting. Here, let me actually, hold on. Let me turn this background and effects off. You can see my ugly house. My ugly paint. There we go. So it's rebooting. There we go. 2.7.2. So it's starting up, and it's a fresh device. So I'll have to set the long and short name again, and all that stuff. So once you get good at that, it only takes a few minutes to get through some of these things here. While I got this up, I'll show you the menu. So this is the newer firmware. Like I said, there's a new UI. The 2.7 UI looks different. So it's got a little menu at the bottom. You just one button click to get it through. And as nodes show up, it'll start popping up there. A clock, all the info on the display. Yeah, great stuff. You'll have tons of fun. So that's how you flash a node. Great, perfect. So let's maybe pop it up on the computer here, and we'll do the client. So if I drop off again, I hope I won't, but client, there we go. Can you guys see that? Perfect. So new connection. I'm still connected via USB cord. And you can connect over your local network if you have it connected to Wi-Fi. You can do a Bluetooth connection, or in this case, we're doing a serial connection. That is absolutely the easiest way. It always shows up every time. 4097 is the last 4 digits of the node ID number. So here we are. So it doesn't have my long and short name. This is just how it is, kind of out of the box. See you later, Tristan. I will show you the configuration. And again, this looks different on the app than it does doing it through a computer. So it's completely different no matter where you are, but it's already pulling in nodes. It's picking stuff up. So there you go. Look at that. And then we can look at the map, and it'll probably show some of the nodes on a map. There's the nodes we're picking up. Look at that over in the big city. So configure client, always client. I told you. Then we're going to go module. No, we're going to go to, where is it? Oh, it's actually down here. I forgot. So this button here will set your long and short name. So this guy I always set to my call sign. Some people don't. Lots of hams don't use their call signs on Meshtastic. People, like I said, it's the wild, wild west, so you may want to keep a cover. You may want to not. I don't know. It's up to you. And I use this one. I use mobile, so this is one I take with me, and I call it DDU2 because I call my T deck number 1, call this one number 2, and my home node is number 3. So then I'm going to save that, and then you have to push it to the device. So actually, it's already rebooting. So it actually already it picked up the fact that I already updated that and pushed it right to there. Sometimes you have to click this little save button if you want to get the information to go. So there we go. It says DDU2 in the corner now there. Where are we? Meshtastic is online. Look at that. So now that I've changed the name of it, you actually have to reconnect to important. What does Jonathan say? Jonathan Noakes, very important guy here, guys. Jonathan is the guru of all gurus. So read his notes down here in the chat. Important to note, using your call sign does not obligate you to operate with amateur rules. It is just a name and default power levels. You are operating as any other ISM user in the band. Correct? Yeah. Great stuff. Jonathan came out to our ham radio, our field day, and had quite a number of Meshtastic devices that he brought. Some really cool stuff. There is a quick little YouTube short on my YouTube channel that shows those devices that he brought out as well. Very, very cool stuff. So yeah. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I thought somebody was talking, but we will go, I'm not going to get too far into the configuration here, but you can set up if it's got a GPS device, you can set that here. You can set a manual GPS location. You can set your GPS location to be, not a little bit off of where you actually are, so you're not giving away your real location if that's a concern. Power configuration, network. So if it is a Wi-Fi device, you are able to program in your Wi-Fi information, so you can connect to your network that way, and then you can connect, it'll be a network attached device that you can then access this screen through that, or through your app on your phone as well. Display settings, timeout, that sort of thing. LoRa, again, region, US always. Number of hops, bump it up to 7. There's nobody around, why not? But yeah, you probably want to set that to like 5 or 7. I don't know. I'm not an expert. Jonathan might have something to say about that, but I am not going to get into the MQTT stuff. I'm trying to keep the Meshtastic as much RF as I can. MQTT might be applicable to somebody's use case, and if that's what you want to get into, go for it. Long fast, that's the basic preset. Stuart wants me to talk about channels, and I absolutely will. So channels is another important thing. So this is how we would program in our well, we don't even need to program it in. It's there already. So if you go to messages, there's no messages that show up because nobody sent anything yet. But if you, I'm not connected. That's right. I got to reconnect here. Hold on. Let me refresh. Serial, connect, and then boom. See, now we can actually see that I am connected here. And if I go to channels, primary, and yeah, we're active here. So messages, this is the primary long fast channel. If you had an additional channel set up, so if you want to generate a new one, you would give it a name. You would give and generate a key, and then somebody's sending a message, test at DDU. There you go. So there is a message popping up, and then we can message back. Test received. Boom, look at that. We're meshing. And then we should be able to go back to our nodes, or we can, I don't know if we can click on it here, but no. Everything is different in the app as it is in the web browser. It's different. Just use whatever you're gonna use. If you're gonna have a home node set up, and you have it on Wi-Fi, great. It'd be great to do it through this. I actually prefer using the app myself, but this kind of gives you a little bit more kind of indication of what's going on. But if we wanted to make a private channel, so there actually is a private channel that we have set up. Jonathan, if I could get you, would you be able to give me the key, and then I can toss it in here and I'll set it up right now. I can't easily grab it from where I currently am sitting.
So is your primary key associated with the primary channel, and then secondary key is your second channel? Like, is that how it works?
The primary key, you're talking, so that's the personal device key. So that would be if you're going into security, so your private key and your public key. So you can't change your public key. Your public key is based on your private key. So I'm going to reset this device after. I will have to insert my private key back in here and re-get my public key, I believe.
So that has nothing to do with the message channels.
No. So
Okay.
the message channel. So that's just your access into the network. And you can and if I just carried on like this, it would just show up kind of like a new node. Like it would probably take a while for the people that have already found this node for it to kind of actively, it would probably show up with a lock that is red, and it would not be encrypted. And if you see one that shows up with that red thing, delete it. And if it re-adds and is still like that, maybe they're having a problem with their keys, or maybe they are getting, or having, whatever. So just delete it and it'll re-add themselves. It all automatically does that. And even once in a while, once your database gets huge, it gets to have 200 nodes or whatever in it, and it's getting sluggish, you may go in and want to do a database delete too. We can look at that in the app. So as far as the channels go, Jonathan put in the Vancouver Island channel that we have been playing with. So I will go to channel 1. I'm going to insert the key. 256. There we go. And then I'm going to call it Van Isle. And then I am going to not select these ones. We're not updating to the mesh. And I mean, it doesn't matter. We can share location wherever. So then we can get into the mesh. Sorry, my Google Meet window is in the way of the button to send it to the device here. Oh, no, that's not what I want. At the bottom. Got too many windows here. Where am I? Oh, I've gotten rid of it. 256. Van Isle. Actually, I don't know. Secondary, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Then you know what? I don't. To be completely honest with you guys, like I said, I use the app a lot more, and it's a lot more straightforward in here. There's probably like a save button that's not showing up, or maybe I gotta click enter or something. I don't know, but because it will show up once we get there. I don't click generate because that'll give me a new one. Okay, well, I'm stumped on that at the moment.
Yeah, I saw it pop up at the bottom. It said saved channel or something, but I don't know.
Maybe it already went.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it is in there. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, maybe I clicked on. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, now I have my private channel in there. I don't know. The app, again, there's lots of updates. The app updates a lot. The firmware updates a lot. Everything changes. You know, it's a very a fast moving project, and you know, it's beta, like you see in the software thing. It says alpha, beta, because it is absolutely. So I'm gonna actually kind of turn this device off because, like I said, I'm gonna put my old keys back in there. We'll do that. I'm gonna have to figure that out because I actually haven't done that in a while. But we will move on to the next thing here. Does anybody have any questions while we're moving on?
Daryl, it's Jack. I've got one. Can you
Absolutely.
get air quality sensors for these things?
Absolutely, yeah. They're the T-Decks do have. Let me see here if I can pull up the. So I don't know a lot about that stuff. So you may be more involved with it than I am. Does it show it on here? You might have to actually click on it, but let's go to the software here, the configuration, the module configuration, and we can see the telemetry. So these are just like ones that are built into the device, but yeah, air quality, I can enable these. No, not that one. And then click the save button, and it will reboot the device and push the new settings to the device. And yeah, like I said, you can save your the configuration of your whole device, and I've noticed that it's kind of hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in order for me to kind of just verify the device is set up how I want it, I always start fresh and just input. I mean, it's a few settings, right? Once you do this a couple of times, and I'm doing it from my phone most of the time. That's why I'm kind of stuttering through this. But once you kind of get through that, it absolutely is, you know, pretty quick. Like within 5 minutes, you can be firmware updated, have all your settings back up, and be going again. Power telemetry too. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we have to reboot that device again. Yeah. So any other questions? Jack, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it most definitely does, Daryl. Thank you.
One quick question.
Absolutely.
I'm on the backside of an island, so I can't get to Nanaimo line of sight. Is there any way of finding out what kind of stations are on Seashelt or Vancouver without going and purchasing something to find out?
I would join the Meshtastic Discord and ask, because them being over there, we may not over here get direct, very much direct connect. But there's not, it's all over RF, right? So it's not internet reported as much like APRS is. APRS has a lot more digi-peters and iGates that get into the internet, and they doing it. The MQTT service can be done with Meshtastic, but it's not super popular. So you can go to maps that have MQTT reported stations on them, and you may have a couple of stations in your area, but in order to see the ones that are actually reporting via RF, you either got to have somebody bring their device out to you. Jono put in the chat here, meshtastic.liamcottle.net. This is an open source map showing nodes showing on the map is opt-in, so it's only the people who want to show on the map. Yeah, so again, not a full kind of picture, but it is absolutely possible. But I would have, a local that has, find somebody that has a Meshtastic device and see if they've, had experience in that area, or get them to bring out the device to that area to see what's available and what is line of sight to you.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah,
Any other
so that would be the best. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That would be the best if somebody had a note and was going to Gabriola and arranged with Rich, go over to his house and put it out for half an hour and see what it sees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised he would get connected across the water.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling in stations from Vancouver on a regular basis, so I'm certain that, if there is no stations, I'm sure he could get across to, if we put one on Benson. Benson is the next mountain that we are trying to get into. So if you are in the Nanaimo area, we are working diligently to get access to put up a node in a good location on Mount Benson. I think that's one of our next goals, and that should get everybody's home node if you're in the Nanaimo area and have view of Mount Benson. And if you're a ham already, that those Mount Benson repeaters work pretty good in the Nanaimo area. So, I mean, should provide good coverage for Meshtastic as well, I think. Any other questions? What are we thinking? All right, well, I will show, let's go back. You know what? Let's have a look at the RAC website. So let's go to the RAC store, because there is great products here. Everybody, let's go shopping together. So there's actually, even like literally since the last time I've been here, there's new stuff on here. That's how fast this stuff is coming out. As soon as you buy something, there's going to be a new one and you're going to be upset. So be prepared for that. This is not all Meshtastic stuff. FYI, like I said, they do sell other devices and other stuff. Here are the starter kits. Like, these are all US prices, I believe. The Wiz Mesh Pocket, again, another great device out of the box. There's a repeater, very overkill, I think. The repeater mini. Oh, actually, you know what? That's the Wi-Fi gateway. Okay, that one's not the repeater mini that I have. There's a baseboard. They have lots of different baseboards. They sell the enclosures. So if you want to build stuff, this stuff is really nice, high quality build stuff. This stuff just all works together, bolts together. The antennas have nice recessed hex fittings and gaskets on them. They're pretty nice. They have different size solar panels, all that good stuff. Yeah, let's go and see some more. Let's go back up to the top here. Starter kit. So as is, you can order these starter kits kind of with different modules. You can order them with PoE. So if you want to run, a Ethernet to power it with or without antennas, or actually it looks like most of them come with antennas, with the different GPS sensors. Obviously, doing the smaller devices with which one? The 1003, I believe, is the smallest one. So that's small. You can see how big that SMA connector is. That's pretty much life size there. The USB-C takes up a good chunk of the board. Very small device, and they don't have Wi-Fi. It's only Bluetooth, but that's for power consumption, right? Like they're very power friendly. You can add on sensors, obviously build the sensors out. And they have different boards depending on what you're building. So you can obviously get ones that have build outs for more sensors, bigger sensors, that sort of thing. It doesn't show the sensors on there for those ones, I guess. But yeah, get ones with little screens, the different base boards, and $24 to $60 American to get that stuff going. Make sure you're ordering 900 megahertz stuff. Lots of different modules. GPS stuff, $90 out of the box. That's not bad too if you don't want to build, you don't want to build anything. And let's go back to there. Yeah, this is a great device. We should also look at the seed. This guy. So another great product. Jono will back me up on this. I don't actually have one, but it's going to be my absolute next purchase. $39 US. The seed. I went over this in the presentation. The seed card. It literally would fit in your wallet. I wouldn't sit on it probably, but this is a great device. Everything, Jono says they work fantastic. Even not having an external antenna, you can put it on a lanyard. You can hang them places, whatever. It's got GPS in it. It's ready to rip out of the box. You don't have to build anything. $39 US. I think shipping from this website's $10, and the accessories, even you get the nice little snap hook. It's actually a nice little hook for $1.99. Like that's pretty good deal. Oh, you buy two and you get them for, you buy two nodes. You'd buy two of the nodes and you get two snap hooks. You get them for free. Cool. And a badge of honor, a sticker if you order from the Chinese warehouse. I don't think you'd want any American tariffs or anything. So anyways, but yeah, that's what it looks like. Nice little snazzy clip. And I guess that's your exclusive sticker if you order from their website. But yeah, these devices are great. Super small, compact. It's easier to get people that aren't super, if family members want to get on board with Meshtastic and aren't, wanting a circuit board in their pocket that's, got a big antenna attached to it. This is probably the way to do it. Obviously, you'd have to recharge it. It's got that little mag charger adapter guy on it. But yeah, these guys, great entryway to get into Meshtastic. I will probably pick this up and run it as kind of my everyday carry, so to speak. Excuse me. And then run my home, obviously have my home node as well. I already have, I've only been doing this for a few weeks and I've got, few months, let's say, but I've already got, a handful of nodes, and you start getting, they're not very expensive, right? And you want to build stuff out. So it's easy to go overboard on devices. That's for certain. Oh, I think I just realized that this opened a new window and I wasn't actually looking at the SenseCap website here. Let me switch windows here. Hold on. I guess here we go. That's better. So this is the actual SenseCap product page, and yeah, $39 US. Not bad. Here's those deals that I was talking about. You guys probably thinking, where is he talking about? But yeah, there's the device, the little mesh indicator. Looks like they're on back order at the moment. I've heard that they are in and out of stock all the time. So I think you can get them from, what is it? Devin, correct me here. DigiKey. Yeah, DigiKey. They have them available as well. Available on Amazon. I think Seed Studio has an Amazon and an AliExpress store. Same with LilyGo too. LilyGo has a ILY Go. .cc. They have a web store as well as a store for AliExpress. Yeah, lots of devices. The T pager, all sorts of stuff. T-Deck Plus, that's the new guy. So this is even a little bit different than the one I ordered, you know, a matter of technically months ago. The keyboard, it looks like, has changed a little bit. Oh, Meshtastic version. That's the one we want. So make sure you don't get the LilyGo version. You get the Meshtastic version. It comes with different firmware. I'm sure that you can flash the correct firmware on there, but get the one with the right firmware. Also, a question that might come up is if you get the T-Beam Supreme, there's a whole bunch of different versions, and these are different versions of the GPS board, I guess, in them, or the processor. So the U-Blocks one is more expensive. It is supposedly the more superior sensor, I guess. Again, that's beyond my pay grade, so I'm not 100% on that. Again, you'll probably want to buy the Meshtastic version, which opens a new window and goes out of this window. So yeah, don't. But the U-Blocks one is the one you want, not the LK76. I mean, I'm sure all of them would work as long as they're on the 900 megahertz band. Awesome.
The U-Blocks is superior for current draw and battery life.
There you go. Yep. Thank you,
Quality.
Gregory, the Meshtastic guru. He's the electronics guru, I guess. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Who's going to go home and order, or I guess everybody's at home. Who's going to start ordering some devices? Are you guys all on board or what? Where do you sign?
I think I'll make do with the 6 or 7 I've got sitting here now.
There you go. Yeah, you're already right in the mesh then, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Have you had much success with Meshtastic so far?
We started, there was a couple of us. I'm up at Qualicum Beach, and there was
Okay.
a bunch of us started this, not this spring, but the spring before. And didn't get a lot of uptake, but there are about 3 or 4 of us, and we were operating locally. But the problem up here is I live up the mountain, but I'm in a bit of a dip, and everyone else, you know, there was hills between all of us. But I was talking to Scott, who's sadly a silent key now, but I just walk up the mountain with my little T-beam originally, and make a contact. We were chatting back and forth for about 10 kilometers without any trouble, as long as we had a good line of sight.
Yeah, gotcha. Huh. Yeah, I mean, so up there, I mean, I don't think there's any like mountaintop nodes up there yet. So hopefully as we get things rolling, we can get more up high and, you know, increase the coverage, right?
We were toying with the idea of putting one up on Coakley or Copley. I always get those two confused.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Oh, Jonathan's
that's
excited.
down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. We have guys ready to go. Jonathan, he's actually got a node for us ready to go up on Mount Benson. So we're just looking for the right location and the right permissions to get a node put up in a very good location. We're trying to get it in a nice spot. So, I mean, we could go up there and strap it to a tree too, and maybe have some pretty good success. But if we can get it up on, you know, closer to a tower or on a tower or around a tower, you know, up high in that area, we'll see if we can get a better location. But that is the name of the game, is increasing the coverage. So what I think next I will ask, well, I mean, again, I'm going to leave this pretty open to questions here. We're a pretty calm bunch, I guess, so there's not, you know, anybody talking over one another. But if you do have any questions, feel free to shoot them out. Sorry, I'm just checking to see if my live YouTube is still working. It is still working, and there is some folks watching. So hello to the folks watching on YouTube. I appreciate you guys watching. And for those of you, if you want to watch the live stream again, or if you want to watch the presentation or want to refer back, it will be available on my YouTube channel there, and we can, yeah. So Oh, here we go. I will show some more devices because that's what this is all about, right? Is looking at these awesome devices. You know what? Actually, oh yeah, here. Let's. I'm gonna connect my phone, and I'll show you more of the Bluetooth app. So let me just pull up and see if I can figure this out. I got to use my Windows. My Windows phone doodad here. Don't hack me, please.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot.
I'm 2 weeks into looking into Home Assistant and ESP Home. It looks, because these are all ESP based, if anybody could answer if there's some already existing direct integrations. But that's something to look into. I recognize the MQQT, but yeah, so it looks like this is all in the realm of possibility. Yeah, again, it's limited. It's only limited by your imagination.
Mhm.
I can feel that one. Yes, absolutely. You just need to set up your Mosquito MQTT broker on Home Assistant and point it to the custom MQTT topic you set up on your Wi-Fi connected node.
Okay, very very good. Sounds good. I don't quite exactly know what you're talking about, but but I'm digging into this pretty hard. So
There's good documentation, and you can reach out to me. I've set up some basic data logging, just with using Home Assistant versus the phone app, which of course can get wiped or you lose your phone or whatever. So
yeah, sounds
possibilities
good.
are endless.
All the possibilities are endless with all the amount of sensors that are out nowadays. You can do just about anything. Fantastic. That answers my question.
I know Rack has a lot of like they're the ones that do all the Internet of Things integrations, I think. And I'm no expert. Jonathan's the expert on there, but yeah, I know those devices they're into a little bit more into that type of thing as opposed to some of the other brands that are making Meshtastic devices. I'm just working on getting my phone integrated through my phone link here, seeing if I can work that.
I could do a little show and tell for a minute while you get that set up.
Sure, absolutely, Jonathan. Have at her.
Okay.
I'll hold on. I'm gonna unscreen share here so it gives you the best. Or I could, yeah. Do you need to screen share? What do you need?
I'm just gonna show and tell, but I'm
Oh, yeah,
probably
yeah.
I'm
Go
gonna
for
need
it.
to unblur myself and remember how to do that.
So yeah, Jonathan, if you have questions, definitely he's the more technical one to ask. He's the guru in the situation. Absolutely.
Yeah, so excuse my nerd den mess here, but so this is what we're hoping to get permission to stick up on Mount Benson. So you can see it is extremely compact. Like I joked to my wife, look, here's my new cell phone. So very simple solar panel, antenna, 3D printed bracket for mounting onto a fence pole, which tower mounting is great. However, you do need to access these things. And sometimes it can be as simple as you just need to press the reset button because it is beta firmware. Things happen. So generally, you want to keep it someplace you could just barely
Absolutely.
click that button, or alternatively, pop in the USB cable. I'll just briefly show you the inside. Desiccant, extremely important for our environment. Probably your most important ingredient besides the actual hardware. And so it's pretty simple, just battery. This is the Rack 4631 board. So that's the heart of the system. And up here we have a small, very basic solar charge controller. This has solar charging built in, but it is a very cheap chip. And for $1, you can get a much better solar charge controller off AliExpress. And here we have a little power monitor circuit. So this actually broadcasts periodically how many milliamps it's pulling in or out of the battery. And right over here, you have one of, oh, where am I pointing? Right in here. This is a low voltage cutoff board, which is also super important for our environment. We all know how dark the winters get, and it's best to hedge your bets about your battery dying eventually. So this module cuts your battery off at 2.9 volts versus letting the battery drain down to the point the microcontroller will brown out. And then at that point, you're climbing the mountain to hit the reset button.
Yes, wise words.
Any questions?
Accessibility.
Key.
If there is no questions, I did pull up I got my little phone emulation thing working here. I'll just see, but it won't let me share. No, it will. Okay. Share that. There we go. You are presenting. Show my screen anyway. Hopefully nothing bad happens. There we go. Look at that. Can you guys see that? See my phone screen there? Okay, so yeah, this is what it looks like to, on the home page, so to speak. So this is connected to my repeater mini. So that's the one that was on the stick at the top of my chimney that I don't use. So DDU3, it shows just a bit of information. It doesn't show much because it's literally just been always charged since it's been up there. It's dips down at night to like 90. So I've seen it go like, after a rainy day and then a dark night, I've seen it dip down to about 91%, but that was as low as it got. And it's got a 3,500 milliamp battery in it. This is my DDU2, and like I said, I didn't restore the keys, so I got that red key of death. VA7 DXX, David down the road, he's got his node. I don't think it's up high, but it is currently got a good signal. There's Mount Bruce, that's the one I was talking about. It is a good signal all the time. David, sometimes it dips in and out. But Mount Bruce, I always have a good signal. That one's got some telemetry, so you can see it's got data about the power consumption. And if you click on it, there we go. It'll show you all the device info, uptime, some information. So you can kind of poke the node, so you can click like just exchange, and it'll update the information. So temperature, these are all the sensors, the telemetry that it's providing, so you can have it, monitoring batteries or whatever. And then it also has history. So device signal, so you can go in and see like, how the signal's been. Ooh, it dipped. Where was that yellow one? I saw it just for a second. Went fair. And yeah, just click all the buttons. And then we'll maybe give you some new info. So let's see, did it 4 minutes ago is the last update. So also this little button or that little icon there shows that it is infrastructure. It's not managed it's not a messaging infrastructure. So like if you message that device, it won't message you back. Might not even accept the message, I think. But normally, if you see a station you want to message, you would then, oh yeah, it doesn't even have it in there because normally it'd be right in here. It would say direct message. So we could try sending David a message. I don't know if he will respond or get it, but we can try. Test. Oh, physical keyboard. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I didn't make it out for whatever reason. So you can click and resend it. Didn't hit him for whatever reason. I don't always get a good signal from him for whatever reason. He's on kind of a backside of a hill from where I'm at. Last position update, direct message. Let's try this again. Seems to be. So again, we need something up on Benson to start getting out a little bit more. It's taking a little bit more time. So sometimes it'll show a cloud with a check mark. That means some other node has heard it, and it will forward that message off if it can. And if it shows a person with a check mark, then it means it went directly to the person. So if we go back here, show the messages. These are ones that I've been playing around with. So here's the Van Isle channel. So this is where we've been hanging out. So there's Jono right there. Great presentation. Thanks, pal. So see if I get out. Yeah, there it goes. I don't know if Jonathan, confirm with me if you get that. We'll see how many hops. It says he's 3 hops. And I believe Jono is in the Cowichan Valley area. If we click on his thing, we could see. Yeah, got a thumbs up. We'll dox him online. So yeah, you can kind of see all the different nodes that we have going on in this little Van Isle chat. And I did that. If you need that channel information, feel free to shoot us a message. It is in the video there. You can see it, and it is in the chat, I believe, as well at the moment. This is the long fasts. This is just any node that's coming in. These are the messages that, it's a public. You can see that it's not encrypted, so everybody's getting these messages. So one thing I don't know if I pointed it out clearly enough, but if you are sending a message to a person, nobody else is reading your messages. It's broadcasted, encrypted through those other devices, through the mesh network, into the device that you are then getting to. Using those keys, it's able to assess that it is for that recipient or not. I saw a question come up there. Let me pull that up. I have a general question about channels. Can you control who joins a group or channel? Absolutely not. So that Van Isle one, I put that up on the internet there. It is open to anyone that joins the channel now. If you have a channel that you want private, don't give out the key, I think is kind of the consensus. If somebody else gives out the key, you're blown. I think that's kind of the way it goes. See you later, Paul. I hope that answers the question. Like it's kind of like once it's a chat, it's a chat kind of thing, if that makes sense. You can absolutely, delete it and not re-add it so that you don't have to be a part of it anymore. If it gets out of hand and turns into the Wild West, you and your homies could go and create your own device or chat. Sorry, I'm reading at the same time as I'm. Jonathan's putting some links down here to some charge controllers and some better components that are than some of the basic stuff that comes out of the box. But absolutely, like some of the out of the box stuff will get you online. It'll get you going. And then there's always, as you probably know with the hobby, there's always room for improvement, and everybody wants to get the fine tuning and get the better antenna or get it up higher or bigger battery, bigger solar panel, a more waterproof enclosure than the last one, maybe. Any other questions before I keep going here?
Not a question, just a comment. With a lot of the 3D printed stuff, like I've had cases built for my T-beam, which I don't have a printer or access to one, but if you got a library card, you can go to the public library, and I think it's 10 cents a gram or something. I forget what it was. This case here cost me about $7. It takes a couple of weeks, and they'll mail it to your. I'm up in Colica Beach. They print them down in Nanaimo someplace and just mail it to your local branch, and you get a notice that it's popped up. So
yeah, I have heard that. I haven't personally taken part in it, but yeah, that's a great resource as well for people that do want to 3D print stuff. I actually just got a guy off Facebook. I got, it was a young guy trying to start kind of a 3D printing business, and I got him to print me a T-beam case. And he did, and he did it fairly quickly, but he wasn't happy with the final product, so he actually ended up reprinting it for me a couple of times. And when I initially contacted him, he was kind of between printers. He had just bought a new one and was getting rid of one that was giving him some trouble, so he was going through some configuration trouble. But he is online now, and he does like 24-hour turnaround time and is very reasonably inexpensive if he's got the right colors and all the right stuff for whatever you're doing. But if you need somebody local to Nanaimo, I have a guy that does reasonably priced. He's a young guy. I think he I paid $20 for him to print all the components for a T-Beam Supreme case. So that's like 5 different pieces and 2 different colors, you know, and it was $20. The same T-Beam Supreme case is sold on Etsy for, I think with the taxes and the shipping, it was going to be, you know, 65 or $70 or something like that. Well, see you later, Jack. Thanks for coming out.
I put a link in the chat to the
Oh yeah, the
library page.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you very much for that. So over on the shared screen there, I put up just a couple more things here. This is the map of, oh, we are zooming right in. Let's zoom back out a little bit. So yeah, you can see some, these are just nodes that my station has heard either through a number of hops or through a directly, basically. So North Salt Spring Island, that's Andrew. The KBLB, that's the Salt Spring Island one that I hear directly, which is still kind of blows my mind. David, on the backside of the hill that's there, I don't get as well, but I get Salt Spring Island very well. So interesting propagation stuff, very line of sight. Like I said, height is might. Yeah, fantastic. So again, channels, this is how another way that you can share the channels that you have is by sharing this link and the respective selected channel, or you can scan a QR code to your buddy. Another thing I'll show you, the configuration of the devices. So you can do all this stuff. This is the same kind of thing I was showing you in the web browser. So this is the user. So it shows you your long name, your short name, your devices. You can make it unmessageable. And this selection right here, this is probably something I should talk about because most of you guys are hams. Licensed amateur radio. So this actually, if you select this, it will limit what you can do. So I choose not to select that. So it won't give you any encrypted messages to anybody else anymore. You can't do any sort of unencrypted like instant like DM straight to somebody else. And it's, yeah, I can't even remember all the things that it actually, yeah, it even says not compatible with the default mesh network. So you're going to basically, you know, make yourself an island by doing that. You can do it. And there is other stations out there that are doing that as well. But it's not as popular, and you're gonna, you know, the fact that it is like Meshtastic, the reason it's so great is because it's open source. Nobody, you know, it's you know, anybody can get involved with it, and it really kind of bridges the barrier. And I think it's a gateway into ham radio. Honestly, I think it's a stellar way to get people introduced to RF and that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll go through some of the, oh, just got my security cams. Hey, look, everyone, here's my security cams. Let's go back to that. Don't you love when those notifications pop up right in front of what you're doing? So frustrating. Anyway, so also the channels, you can access the same type of information. So if you go into the Van Isle channel, there's that big key that I asked Jono for. Uplink and downlink, that's that MQTT thing. Just terrific. Get rid of it. Don't do it. So these are the only 2 channels I have at the moment that I roll with. Device information. So this is client, always client, or client mute. And this you can obviously read through here and see all the different settings. Another setting that's actually pretty important, I don't have it clearly set on here, is the POSIX time zone. So if you want the time to display on your device correctly, you will have to Google POSIX time zone and input the 1-4-hour time zone. It's a big long character hash key thing, and you dump it in there, click save, and it will reboot your device, and then it'll have the correct time on it. Display, that's, you know, your display units, all that is pretty self-explanatory. Screen timeout section, that type of thing. And you'll notice too, a lot of the devices, whether it has that ability or not, will actually have the settings still in there, even if the device doesn't have those sensors or a screen or whatever. It'll still show you this, and it'll still try to push those settings to the device. But it just, obviously, if you have a display, your display is not going to shut off if, you know, whatever. So this will, oh, I did skip over the network and the power too. Wi-Fi, pretty self-explanatory there. Power, you know, if you want to put it in power saving mode, if you're trying to make it last. Security. Oh, I'm not going to put that one up there. That's already up there now. Well, there's my keys, everyone. Yeah, good one. Thanks. So I'll be rekeying, but either way, you can, yeah, screen grab. Thanks, everyone. But yeah, so this is where you would actually do your node database reset as well. So if your list of nodes just gets too much, like there's 163 in here, and sometimes when you're trying to load it, it gets a little much. If you notice that things aren't connecting the way they used to be, those are some good buttons to click. Getting back to that radio configuration all the way down at the bottom. So node database reset and a factory reset. It's always a great button to hit, and that's going to give me some new keys. So once we're done on this call, I'm going to do that, and you know, before somebody else resets and locks my device out. It's a race. So that's what the app looks like. Lots of configuration available. This is what the Android app looks like, and I run in dark mode, obviously. But you know, if you are receiving a lot of nodes, you can obviously filter them, hide the offline nodes, show only direct nodes, so that'll be only the ones that you're hearing directly. I'm going to need a whole set of new keys for everybody. All my keys are messed up now. Cool. Well, if there's no more questions, I think I'm going to start wrapping this up. If anybody else has any questions after, please feel free to drop me a line. I'm easy to find. You can Google my my name or my call sign and find my Facebook, Instagram, or I'm sure my email is on my QRZ page and all that good stuff, or send me a message through Meshtastic, better yet. But yeah, is there any other questions? No? No, nothing? Okay. I will stop sharing. Does anybody have any cool nodes that they would like to share? No? Cool, cool. All right. Well, the only one I have accessible to me at this very moment is my T-Beam Supreme. I have loaned out my T-Deck to Brandon. Currently has my T-Deck. Hopefully he's playing with it and trying to get on the net or on the mesh. And yeah, the nodes are meant for sharing. So if you got a bunch of nodes and you know somebody that might be interested in Meshtastic, share it with them. And if you want to get into the group buy, please email us. I will, let's find the slide here with that info. I'll bring that up quickly here one last time, and we can, here we go, share that screen. So yeah, so there's the email address, meshtastic@ve7na.ca. If you are local to the Nanaimo area, if you want to get on the group buy. So this is, you have to actually be in Nanaimo and be able to come out and sit down and build it with us. Otherwise, I will have either on online through one of my channels, will have available the build sheet showing what we're going to do, and that way you can follow along if you have another club or another team of friends that wants to put some devices together. But in the meantime, don't hesitate to get into another device. Let's go back through and look at the devices again momentarily. These guys here, this Sense Cap, that's the one. That's the pocket node you want. That'll get you started and you don't have to build anything. Or the Whiz Blocks, or if you're just an eager beaver and you want to get a rack solar node, these things are great too, but you know, be prepared for winter blues. Yeah, nodes are meant for sharing. So if you got extra nodes, hand them out to your friends, get them hooked on Meshtastic. Feel free to drop me a line. Thank you very much for being here, everyone. I appreciate you all taking the time to come and be here and talk about Meshtastic with me. I could literally talk about Meshtastic all evening, but I am getting a little exhausted, and yeah, we'll shut it down. But thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to stop the YouTube stream here, and we will. I appreciate you. Okay, see you later, YouTube. Thanks for being there. And now we are